I have spent so much time learning how to code, design, complete my engineering. And after graduating from my BTech, it's been, I think, 4 or 5 years. And it's very interesting that today, at the age of 27, I truly realize the importance of speaking confidently and the ability to give a good presentation. And if you become good at delivering a strong message, it will open up doors that are completely locked for anybody else who has a tough time communicating what they want to say. So today's agenda will be covering how to improve your speaking skills, because communication in general is going to be 10 times more valuable, especially in the age of AI. How to design your pitch or presentations with AI. And I'll be teaching you Gamma AI so that you can save time, whether it's for your content research or for your design. The thing is that a lot of people feel that, oh, if I use something like Gamma, my presentation will go great. But to be honest, Gamma will only take you midway. And it's a brilliant tool for making your visual deck, but in the end, you as a speaker also needs to stand and explain to other people what your vision is. And then I'll share some tips on how you can hold everyone's attention. So a quick story time. This is me. Approximately 2015 or 2016, I was an extremely introverted child. Simply because I was a single child, I had no siblings. So I've spent a lot of time alone. I used to be always on my PlayStation or on my PC. So I never really had an opportunity to practice my communication skills. And even in school, because I had taken PCM and I was doing my FITG preparation, it was just so difficult to talk to people in general. Fast forward, we come to 2000, I think this was 18. This might be, I think, second or third year of my BTech. And I started competing at hackathons. So even this picture is from a hackathon that happened at my college. And in a hackathon, you always create a product. You work very, very hard. You work for hours, the entire night building something. And then you get an opportunity to present your idea in front of the judges. The interesting part is that no matter how hard you have worked the previous night, the judges only give you 90 seconds to impress them. And these 90 seconds can make or break your entire hard work. And I used to be the least freaked out guy in our entire group. So I was the designer. We had Saransh as the front-end developer. We had Hemant as the back-end developer. Our team used to be called as Team Alpha. Not sure why. And I was the person who was responsible to go on stage. And these opportunities taught me a lot about how to get someone's attention in those 90 seconds. Fast forward to 6 to 7 years more. I have now done multiple stage talks in India and globally where I've been teaching people how to use AI. And if you were to watch my YouTube videos even from 3 years ago, you would know that I was still struggling. Even today, I keep on learning new things. But in this video, I wanted to have a quick overview on 3 important pillars of stage presence that you can use to build more confidence. Now, students, please note that whether it's your favorite actor, whether it's any important leader, even the creators that you follow on the internet, they all knowingly or unknowingly follow these 3 pillars. And building confidence is not something which can be created overnight. It takes a lot of time, but these 3 pillars will actually help you progress really, really fast. So the first pillar is all about going to be the what you speak, which comes under your content mastery. The second pillar is going to be about how you speak, which is all about your delivery. And the last component is about your design of the deck, how you need to structure your entire deck. These 2 things only you can do. So the human is responsible for this. AI can help you practice. And this is where AI can save almost 100 hours of your life every single month if you pay attention to what I'm about to say. Now, the first pillar is all about mastering content. And when we come to pillar number 3, when I'll be teaching you how to use Gamma, this research will be extremely important. Because if you truly master this stage, it's not only important for your PPTs, but it will also help you if you're into website creation, whether you're into social media, in general, anything where you have an audience. This tip will help you a lot. And let me tell everyone that when it comes to mastering content, you need to understand that there are different stages to this. And in my first stage, I will be explaining you the importance of reading and writing. I'll be explaining you how you can think clearly, and in the end, how you evolve from thinking clearly to speaking clearly. When we reach pillar number 2, I'll explain you how communication is not just verbal. So it's not just about the words that you use, but it's also about how you stand, the kind of tonality that you use, the way you frame yourself on the stage. In fact, I'll be taking some examples of people that I really look up to. You can learn a lot from their speeches. In fact, we'll also talk about the why behind what you're trying to say. And we'll discuss some important hacks to improve your overall delivery. And then in pillar number 3, we'll understand how you can master the deck by showing and not just telling. And this is where I'll be explaining you Gamma AI. And please note that when I teach you Gamma AI, this is not just for presentation, but it can do a lot of your work. So whether you're a consultant, whether you're a solopreneur trying to get funding or anything in general, if you're a teacher or an educator, if you're a marketer, this one single tool will solve all of your problems. Now, Gamma is the sponsor of this video, but that doesn't mean that it's something that I have to forcefully sell to you, because I truly believe in Gamma. I've taught Gamma to thousands of people, and there's a reason why I'm combining this speaking confidently syllabus with Gamma, because the combination of these two skill sets together can be unbelievable for you. And a lot of people ask me that, Ansh, does this shift from PowerPoint to Gamma? So yes, anything you make in Gamma will be opened in PowerPoint. Anything you make in PowerPoint can be imported back into Gamma to sort of improve it. And they use more than 20 different AI models. So you can create your images and text all together. So I'll be taking you through Gamma. I'll be showing you all of the steps where you can use AI to create some amazing decks. But before that, let's first understand your phase number 1, which is all about mastering the content. What you do or consume in private shows up in public. And it is so interesting that at this point, I can literally speak to anyone for an hour and instantly feel how much time is this person reading about their subject. And if I can sense this in the people that I meet, I'm pretty sure when I meet somebody else, they can also sense it. The thing is, you can't really fake it. When you're talking about a subject, if you really don't know what you're talking about, at this point, as human beings, we've been consuming so much of content in social media that it's extremely difficult to fake it. And the quality of the content that you consume in private shows up in your public conversations, because all this time when you're consuming content, your brain is forming patterns, whether it's pattern of, connecting arguments, whether it's the way somebody is telling a story. And the more you consume that kind of content, the more it will influence the way you communicate to other people. So the first step of this entire framework of getting better ideas is reading, because you first read high quality content, then you write better. And while you write, your thinking becomes better, and that can eventually translate into verbal speech. And I would not recommend you folks to force yourself to get these results faster, because reading is an ongoing habit. It's a habit that you need to have for the rest of your life. In fact, I have been investing a lot in magazines these days, and this is not a paid promotion, but the Hollywood Reporter is really fun for me because I love movies. I love its design. I've been reading a lot, Architectural Digest. It's like a bunch of other magazines, right? Whatever magazines I get them because you truly understand the latest color schemes, the latest vocabulary, and a lot of cool stuff. And when you read content written by highly intelligent people, whether it's Naval Ravikant, whether it's Y Combinator blogs, whether it's Paul Graham blogs, you'll realize that all of this stuff is more about big ideas instead of, fancy words. They don't use fancy words. They just talk about big ideas. And these big ideas actually come from experience. So the more you experience life and the more you read, most people think that a book is the reason why something comes into your mind. But I'll tell you something. A book can only confirm or highlight something that you have already discovered so far, or something that subconsciously you can agree with. Because I have read a book at the age of 18, and when I read the same book at the age of 27, the meaning was completely different. I'm talking about Think and Grow Rich. When I read Think and Grow Rich at 18 versus 21 versus 27, the entire meaning has been shifted, because the book, the pages of the book meant differently to me when I started reading it at a certain age, because more than the pages of the book, my own personal experience also defined what I would take away from them. Whatever I read, I write on Notion. So I document aggressively, and the habit of writing does 3 extremely important things for me. First is that it gives me an opportunity to reflect. And when I reflect, I find certain nuances. My attention to detail goes really high. I end up making less mistakes. The second is I put a structure on my thoughts. Otherwise, all of my thoughts are very fuzzy. It's like a cloud of thoughts getting disrupted here and there, clashing into each other. And third is that my vocabulary improves. And remember, students, what we've said from day one, that the future belongs to those who have good health, great taste, strong pattern finding skills, and the vocabulary to describe what they want. And while you write, eventually your thinking becomes more linear. It becomes sharper. Because if, let's just say, this is all of my thoughts together, right? These are all of my thoughts. Writing forces me to connect these thoughts and put them in a linear chain. And when that happens, it's almost like gym for my brain. And it is only once my brain learns how to do this automatically without even writing. So I think phase number 1 would be that you read a lot. Phase number 2 would be you write for say 2 to 3 months. And in this, it's like gym for your brain. And phase number 3 is that even in thinking, you will start conceptualizing thoughts into frameworks. And in the end is when you need to start speaking by reading out aloud. So I usually recommend people to use their phone to record themselves. I would strongly recommend you people to observe celebrity interviews, watch popular speeches, and record yourself talking. And you need to do this for at least 100+ hours. It's a long struggle. And if you were to do this regularly, if you were to regularly journal and practice, because I have been practicing writing since 6 years. I've made a video on this as well. I'll put that video in the description. I've been using Notion for such a long time. All of the proof is there. I'm a living proof of the fact that if you write regularly and speak regularly, your communications will improve. Once that is done, you'll be officially completed with a brain that can find good content. So I regularly recommend people, anytime you're doing your research, don't just rely on one source. You need to understand that at this point, you have something like Deep Research, you have Notebook LM, you have Perplexity. Bring all of these documents together and print them, and then highlight those ideas, and then find intersections between those ideas. And all of these things will help you finalize the content. But just content alone is not good enough. So when we come to phase number 2, it is all about mastering the delivery. And a lot of your delivery depends on how you have structured that content, because just a bunch of big ideas will not impress the audience. So the framework we follow is very simple, is that start with a story, give a pain point of the main character, give a framework on how you reach the solution, and always give a call to action, a takeaway for the audiences. And a good example of me using this can be the IIM Bangalore AI talk. I would recommend you folks to try that out. Watch that video and see how I teach. The NAS Summit talk. In fact, any of my live sessions, you will see me do this regularly. I pick a story or some situation. In that situation, I highlight a pain point. Once you highlight the pain point, you have the audience's attention because now they're curious on how you will solve this. So you've added conflict. Then you provide the solution framework, how you need to think, and you can take ChatGPT's help with this. And in the end, the takeaway, because most people, when they're attending a workshop, it's very difficult for them to visualize how it might help them apply all of this knowledge. Now, if you were to analyze any of Steve Jobs' talks, you would realize that he speaks in a very strict and a very controlling way. Like, he uses his words very, very mindfully. And he always used to add humor. He always used to keep his language very clear. So it is clear instead of clever. And instead of focusing on fancy, big upsells, he used to pick problems that any human would relate to. So his entire speech used to trigger the heart, the emotion, and not the intellect. Same with Elon Musk, right? So I don't think Elon Musk focuses too much on the delivery, but he focuses a lot on content. So if you were to watch any unedited interviews of Elon Musk, you will see him being extremely free. Like, he makes mistakes, he might stammer, he might say a few words here and there, but the content, the core substance is so insane. The core idea is so insane and so impressive that people pay utmost attention to him. Now, once you have figured out the content on phase number 1, and once you have improved the delivery by putting it into a story, the next part is all about how exactly can you put it together in a beautiful looking slide. And for that, I'll show you Gamma. And while Gamma creates the presentation, I'll actually help you understand how you can create a good presentation, whether it's for your startup or for your business. So let's move on to Gamma. All right, so here I am on Gamma. I've already created my account, so I don't need to do something with the sign up. And folks, we've made a lot of videos on Gamma before, but this video is going to be slightly different because I will not only teach you how to make a good presentation, but also show you how to be a good storyteller while you're creating the deck. Now, Gamma has over 50 million users. And I'm not joking, it is actually the most popular AI presentation app in the world. And most people think that to create a Gamma, you need a PDF, but I'll just show you how it truly works. And it'll be a quick revision for everybody else. So the first option here is to paste your content in text. So if you have written all of your content, you can paste all of it and put it here. And once you've added all of that content, you can either generate from the notes that you have added here. So you can basically convert your rough ideas into something more structured that Gamma can do automatically. If you have a lot of content and you want the deck to be slightly smaller, you will choose the summarize option. And if you want to keep the words as it is, you don't want it to change anything at all, you will choose preserve this exact text. Now, the beauty of Gamma is that you can create presentations, websites, documents, and social media carousels. And my personal favorite is generate from one line. So I'll go and select presentation, and here I will say how AI can help you become a better speaker. And as soon as I click on generate outline, Gamma will now use AI to put the headings, the subtext. In fact, it has also put hyperlinks for all of that content. I can add more content. I can choose the amount of text on each and every slide, choose a specific theme. In fact, I can create my own themes as well. But let's just say this theme looks good. And here in my image source, I can either let Gamma decide whether we want an AI generated image or something automatic. So I just want AI images. And here in my image model, you can see that you have Flux, you have Imagine by Google, you have Ideogram, you have all of the latest models out there. So let's just say I want to choose Flux Context Fast. And here instead of photorealistic, let me choose something like line art because I find it cute. And if I click on advanced mode, you will actually see the entire prompt editor open up in full scope. So you can change the tonality, you can specify which audience are you writing this for. And in my format, I'll choose presentation and I will choose 16:9 because I want a proper slide that can run in PowerPoint also. Now, as soon as I click on generate, this is where the magic starts to happen. And I would recommend you folks to always use AI outputs as your baseline and not the finish line. This is a wonderful first draft. And Gamma gives you a lot of freedom to edit things on your own because there is a very low probability that anything you get here will be perfect in a single go. Because there's so much of context that you need to add on your own. But as you can see, all of the illustrations have been added here. Now, if any of this content doesn't make sense to me, I can select all of it just like this, go to this option and select more engaging. And Gamma will open up a proper chat assistant on the right side and also help me improve the content. So I'm going to go with the selected one. And let's just say that I don't like this curvy theme. I can go to the themes panel and with just a single click, I can switch the entire theme. Throughout the process, if I click on this icon, I can select and choose different kinds of alignment. If I click on the edit icon, I can open up AI images. I can also select unsplash. And you can see if I delete something, it will automatically find information. So let's just say AI, I'm just going to type AI and let's pick this one. And it is just so seamless. If I go here and say, make this more visual, it will take the entire style and re-visualize it by either adding icons or more colors. Like it'll figure something out, but it is so seamless and so fast. Now it replaced the image, it added these icons, and there is so much more that you can do once you deep dive. So on the right side, you have all of your basic blocks here. You have the smart layouts, you have the smart diagrams. And the most crazy part is that if I take the smart layout and drag it in the middle, you will now see Gamma take the context of my original prompt, the original subject, generate content for this specific format, and then put it all together. Now the question is that the PPT looks great. What are some things that we can do to make this even better? Now folks, anytime I create a presentation, I always circulate a Google form within the audiences, or at least I speak to 10 people who might fit in the category of my audiences to figure out what are they truly interested in. This is the most important habit that you can ever have. The ability to speak to your audiences or some people from your audiences before you create your deck. And as a speaker, your competition is always going to be the phones that the audiences are using. So you need to make sure that whatever visuals you add here, you're changing the slides regularly and you have some cool animations in place. Now, if I go here on present, you will now see Gamma add all of the animations by default. I don't have to make any extra effort. And the biggest feature advantage here is that if I select Spotlight, you will now see all of the content getting unblurred piece by piece, headline by headline, one by one. Now, the biggest advantage of this animation is that you use progressive disclosure, which basically directs the eyes of all of the audiences. And I would recommend that once you say that AI secret weapon, personalized feedback, the way you can fix this or make this even more engaging, and by the way, we have our content ready as well. So as you can see, you have strong delivery, weak delivery, all of that content has been added. If I had to make this more interesting, level up your speaking game, how AI is your new speech coach, I can say improve your speaking skills in 30 days. So now you're given a timeline, you're given a promise, and that promise is always really, really important. I would strongly suggest you folks that before you start this part, before you actually enter the editing part, you should probably figure out a quick outline. So when you go here and generate something, let's just say we talk about basics of AI for video editors. And by the way, I can also create a website. If I go and click on generate a presentation, do you see this outline part? This outline part is the most important part of the entire process, because if this goes wrong, then you will always have an issue. And if you look closely, there are no takeaways here. So I would always recommend you to add key takeaways. And I would always recommend that instead of just adding these headlines, I'll add one more card to put a story. So this story can basically come here after the first slide itself, and in the end, then you can have your takeaways. Now, where will you get this story? This story is something that you can get from your customers, either by circulating a Google form or just by understanding what do they really want from you. So before I prepare for any of my workshops, my first goal is to figure out the story, the key lessons that will act as a solution framework, followed by a takeaway. And if you are someone who wants to become better at speaking in general and improve the rate at which you create your decks, all of the tips that I've given to you, that combined with Gamma can significantly fasten the process for you. So if I go here and let's just say that I no longer want a presentation, I just want a document as well. If I click on generate outline, you will actually see Gamma go through the entire content. This time you'll see that it has these bullet points with key terms and the definitions of those key terms. Here you don't really need to make that entire story or takeaway part. But if I click on generate, you will now see Gamma create a very, very beautiful, good looking document within a few minutes. It's almost like magical. It is by far one of my favorite tools out there. And you can print it. It converts it into like a proper A4 size sheet. As you can see, the canvas has also been created. It is adding those images one by one, and it's truly game changing. So folks, confidence in general is a skill that takes a lot of time. In fact, we've made a lot of videos on our YouTube channel. So let me also show you some videos that we had created. So if you go and type Fix Your Life Ansh Mehra on YouTube, there are some really, really important videos that we've made so far. And I would recommend you to 100% watch How to Network at Parties, the Amir, Arjun and Basic Dura story. This is in Hindi, unfortunately. And How to Improve Confidence. If you watch these three videos, combine it together and start creating your decks with Gamma, you will see a significant jump in the way you present and share your ideas in just 100 hours of practice. 100 hours is all you need. So with that, we complete this quick, short tutorial on how you can become a better speaker. I wanted to make this tutorial to help everyone understand how you need to smartly use Gamma instead of just thinking that, oh, if I make something with Gamma, that is the end of the entire story. So I would strongly recommend you to take notes of this session, document them on Notion, reflect on what you've learned, have some call to action for you. My homework to you would be to find any topic, talk about it for 90 seconds and put a video on LinkedIn. and try to have some slides created by Gamma so you can put your face at the bottom and slides on the top. And try Gamma for your next portfolio, your next pitch, or for your next stage session. If you put up a story on Instagram, make sure you tag me and Gamma. Put the hashtags Gamma Partner and Made with Gamma. Let me know in the comments section if you want more such videos around the topic of communication and confidence in general. I think after these videos, there's nothing much left. This was the last part that I want to cover when it comes to speaking confidently. For all the designers watching this, I hope you're following our Figma Make course. We've been teaching people how to make really cool no-code applications using Figma. Don't forget to click on the like button. Don't forget to click on subscribe because we will be uploading a lot of educational videos very soon. This was our instructor Ansh Mehra and you were learning from the Cutting Edge School.